A rematch from last year's round one, the Florida Panthers and Boston Bruins will go head-to-head in the second round of the 2024 Stanley Cup Playoffs. Guys, welcome into Puck Time on WagerTalk TV. I am Andrew here with Carmine to break down game one of Bees and Panthers. And we'll go over the series as well as a whole, look at some props, and talk about the prices of the overall series. Carm, hope you had a great weekend, man. Good to see you as always. What are your thoughts on Bruins and Panthers game one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I thought it was what a troll job by Tkachuk on the podium talking about this series, and he said during the Bruins Leaf series we were planning on playing the Bruins, so we prepared to play the Bruins. Even after it was 3-2, and even after it was 3-3, we're preparing to play the Bruins. My God, what a troll job by him! But now he's got to get back to work. And listen, he's had a really good. I'm going to have a same game parlay one for you guys, kind of like the other one that we hit. That was nice plus money. This one's about even money-ish, a coin flip, and it's going to include the Chuck in there. But we'll get to that one in a second, Andrew. You look at this one, and it's 5 or 6 days off for Florida heading into this game. We saw two teams with yesterday that had days off, 5+ days off, and it was a pretty sloppy game between I thought, anyways, between the Rangers and Carolina. You can look at the game and say it was a great game, but if you look at how the teams have been playing in the playoffs, and locking it down, and and the Canes allowing power play goals 9 seconds and 15 seconds into the power play for the number one penalty killing unit. That was unlike them. I think that series is going to get a heck of a lot tighter, and I don't think this is a series, Andrew. It's going to be tight. A lot was talked about the Bruins going into that Leaf series and beating the Leafs all 4 games. They've beaten the Florida Panthers all 4 games this season, but I think you have to throw the regular season numbers out the door. 3 of 4 went under the total during the regular season. Just 1 4-3 game that went over the total. This is one where up and down this Florida lineup, I think they're a solid team. They have much better players, top to bottom, throughout the lineup, and the goaltending edge goes to them as well in this one. We're going to talk about series prices in a bit, but Florida has to be the play tonight. You can look at a couple ways because the price is still moving 165, 170. I'm not worried about the time off, especially this time of the year. Time off worries you. Florida went 6-1 their first 7 games out of the All-Star break, which was a 9-day break. I'm not really worried about that. The Bruins, you got time on angle here. I just want to look at who the
Home about the whole, don't worry. Florida doing their that would bring the some of the feels like we've been watching 1-0 hockey games for the past 4 or 5 days now. I feel like this might kind of break that a little bit here. And we also saw it in the Hurricanes and New York Rangers series. So in game one of that one, I also believe that Toronto Maple Leafs deserve more credit defensively than they've probably been getting. Everyone's going to talk about the Maple Leafs and that they couldn't get it done in 7. Well, they were down 3-1. And, a lot of those games, they struggled to score offensively, right? You can't look as a different team in the regular season as you do offensively, but they did look strong defensively. David Pastrnak didn't look so good, Carm. He got called out by his head coach before game 7, and he ended up scoring the game winner. Brad Marchand had a good start to the series, but he calmed down as well. Lindholm finally got going as he scored a huge goal in that game 7. Charlie Coyle didn't do much. The Bruins need some of these guys to step up. I also wonder if against a team like the Panthers, the Boston Bruins defensemen will jump into the rush. But guys watching at home, I mean, let's think about it. How many times this year do we see a 6.5 as a total? How many times do we even see 7s popping up? Now we have a 5.5 to the over that's plus money. I love this situation here. Carm, I was saying to my friends Saturday night after the game that I thought my guess was going to be Tuesday would be the day for game 1 of Bees and Panthers. But no, they gave it to us right away. Didn't waste any time. They wanted to get going, and they gave it to us on the Monday night. So the Bruins, they're just continuing to go. Every second day they're playing a game all the way through 7 games with the Maple Leafs. Now they get it going again, of course. As talked about out the start, there's the whole feeling for this Bruins team where they blew the 3-1 lead in the last year's playoffs in round 1. And they tried to avoid being the first team to do that in back-to-back years, and they did avoid that. But now they got to play the Florida Panthers. And I know that both teams can be physical. Florida does a great job of playing that physical style, but kind of playing along the edge. But I think that what we saw in the Boston Bruins versus Leafs series, especially early on, Carm, when you put this Boston Bruins power play to work, they'll make you pay. They've got guys that will make you pay. And same thing for the Florida Panthers. Both these teams take penalties. The Toronto Maple Leafs, I think they finished, correct me if I'm wrong, Carm, 1 for 21 on the power play. The Florida Panthers will not go 1 for 21 on the power play in this series. So taking a look at some of those games, Bruins versus Leafs, that didn't go over the total. Well, I think it was because, we had a combined, 1 for 7 or 1 for 8 on the PP. I think if these two teams get the chances, man advantage wise, we will see some goals on the power play. So physicality, the short turnaround for Boston, the long layoff for Panthers, I think it all leads to some goals tonight. So I'm staying off the side. I'll go over 5.5 here.
All right, I don't blame you, Andrew, on taking that. I made a bad call yesterday, a bad call on the Dallas game. I thought we would see some goals in that game. I looked at some of the underlying numbers, the analytics, and it led me to that. And the final analytics in that game were 2-1 for Dallas. The final score was 2-1 for Dallas. I am happy that Dallas won, though, because I've been a big fan of theirs and saying all season long I thought they were the best team in the West, one of, if not the best team in the West. And to get bounced in the first round of the NHL playoffs would not be good. But you look at this series here, Andrew, and obviously a few things change. The Bruins don't have home ice in this series, number one. Number two, they come in and yesterday was their travel day, so they probably have one of those a light morning skate, and then they're at it tonight. I don't know what they bring to the game. We're going to find out at 8:00 tonight what this team has in them. But you want to compare these teams, and I say you have to throw out the regular season records, because if you look at it and say, well, they beat them during the regular season. Yeah, well, the Winnipeg Jets lit up the Colorado Avalanche during the regular season. And how did that work out for them? So you got to throw it out. The playoffs are an absolute different beast. And there is more depth on this Florida team throughout the lineup. They got a Toronto team that just didn't live up to expectations yet again this season. Marner, 3 points. Tavares, I think a couple of points. And Nylander missed 3 games. Matthews missed a couple of games. They never really got their scoring going. And you mentioned it, 1 for 21 on the power play, number one. And then number two is they were the second highest scoring team during the regular season. What does that do for you in the playoffs? It comes down to depth in a lineup and secondary scoring, and Florida has all of that. I think the matchups could clearly favor Florida in this series. And I don't think this series is, and we're going to talk about the series in a second. This series is not going to go 7 games. I can't see it going 7 games. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be at most 6 and more than likely 5. That's how one-sided I think this series is.
Wow. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing some thoughts on that. We'll go over the props. We'll go over some of the exact series prices. Really quick, Carm, on this series in game 1. It was very top heavy as far as the goal scoring is concerned for both teams, really. I guess we could probably argue in round 1. Of course, we could say the Florida Panthers scored more goals than the Tampa Bay than Boston Bruins, did. But if you look at some of the guys that scored for the Florida Panthers, we had a guy like Verhaeghe score in 4 of his last 5 games. We had Sam Reinhart score in 3 of the last 5 games. We take a look at David Pastrnak, Marchand, even DeBrusk with his shots on goal. You talk about depth and how important that can be, but as far as just the top guys, the top scorers, I'm really interested in seeing if that can continue here for this Panthers team. Matthew Tkachuk over 3.5 shots on goal, 4 of his last 5 games. Reinhardt over 3.5 shots on goal. The number is plus 120, Carm, 4 of his last 5 games. David Pastrnak over 3.5 shots on goal, 4 of his last 5 games. I mean, is the playoffs the time to just worry a little bit more about these top guys and not try and reinvent the wheel? Because I mentioned this last week as far as some of the prop bets are concerned. I'm a lot of times I'm trying to find the best price. And you notice a lot of times people, when you try and search too hard for the better price, the cheaper price, the lower price, and you're trying to get that quote unquote value, you end up just picking someone that's not going to perform well. You know, if you have somebody right now that's betting on Reinhardt to score a goal every game, he might not be plus 250, Carm, but he's scoring a goal at least every 2 games. You're making money on some of these top guys. So I'll certainly be locking in a bet on Tkachuk over 3.5 shots on goal for the Florida Panthers. One I wanted to look at as well is Brandon Montour under 1.5 shots on goal. That's plus 125. And one thing about this Panthers team, their defensemen don't really jump in the rush. They sit back. The forwards have a really hefty forecheck, but they sit back. So under 1.5 shots on goal for Brandon Montour. I do like that one quite a bit. And we'll go over 1.5 for Charlie McAvoy, because I do believe that the Bruins will have to have their defensemen jump in the rush. So just wanted to throw a few props out there, Carm.
All right. We have an Instagram question. I'll get to it in a second, Andrew. But, you know, the same game one that, I'm channeling my inner Andy Lang again with one of these ones. We're going to give it a shot. If you like Florida, and it's a high price tonight, 165 could be 170. Who knows by game time? I like the Matthew Tkachuk one as well too. The shots on goal prop, but it's his points prop that I'm looking at now. As far as the shots prop, Andrew, he's got 21 shots. He had 21 shots in that opening series in 5 games. He went over his total in 4 or 5 games against Tampa Bay, his shot prop. And he had points in every single game, 9 points, 4 games with 2 points, one game with a point. But places like DK that allow you to do these ones, his points total for tonight isn't 1.5. I thought it would be 1.5. It's over a half, but it's minus 238. I'm never going to take a minus 238 to get at least 1 point. Just not going to do it. But if you take Florida win in a same game parlay, Florida win with Matthew Tkachuk over half a point, it's minus 105. And that I like. So that's the same game parlay. I put it up as a free play on WagerTalk. And it's one that I gave out to my clients as well too. Minus 105. Matthew Tkachuk to register at least the point, and for Florida to win tonight, minus 105. It's not a bad price.
I love it, Carm. I do. I mean, you think about it. If they win, he's probably involved. He probably gets on the score sheet. I like those, and that's the thing, is that you're getting a guy that, would not be great odds in general. to get a point on its own, as you mentioned, but throw them in with the Panthers to win the game. I think it's quite correlated. So I have no problem with those. And I like how you're not getting too fancy there. No 3 or 4 leggers here, Carm. We're keeping it short and simple. Just trying to find the smart plays to make there. All right. Do you want to jump in on the series, Carm?
Yeah, I just want to say, and I'm not trolling, okay? I'm not trolling at all. But I went out with a bunch of my friends to a place near the airport here in Toronto called Arizona's, and for the Leaf game on Saturday night. The place was rammed, like I mean rammed. Everyone in Leaf jerseys. Man, I had to fear for my safety there because I'm the only guy not wearing a Leaf jersey, and I'm probably the only guy there that thought the Bruins were going to win that game, and they did. But today is locker cleanout day. Come on, all you young people that used to go to high school, grade school, you cleaned out your lockers and the summer started. Today's locker cleanout day in Toronto. That's not a joke. That means they're all doing their media today, Andrew. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the players have to say when they get hit with the hard questions. And hopefully the reporters in Toronto, instead of like patting them on the back or what have you, ask them the tough questions. So we'll see what comes of that today. Now, Andrew, in this series, I looked at some different options, and these are ones that I am playing. So I'm going to mention them because I am betting them. I'm not going to give you something that I'm not betting myself. So these are 3 that I'm looking at, Andrew. Obviously, the series price is pretty high, minus 210 on Florida. If you shop around, you can find it a little bit cheaper. DK's got it at 190. The series handicap, Florida minus 1.5 games is plus 115. So if you don't want to play that vig and you like Florida to win the series and you don't believe it's going to go 7 games, then this play is what you want to take. Florida minus 1.5 plus 115. If they get the job done tonight, if the Panthers get the job done tonight, game 2, all the pressure is on the Bruins, because if they go down 2-0 to Florida's a team that's built to win on the road. And once you fall behind in a hole against the Panthers, we saw them do to Tampa. Won the first 2 at home, went into Tampa, took game 3. Tampa did win game 4, but it ended in 5. This series could go the exact same way. And I feel it does, Andrew. So the minus 1.5 plus 115 is one that I'm looking at playing. I'm going to play it. And I'm going to go a little further, but for fewer units, I am going to take the minus 2.5 because I think the series, whether you agree or disagree with me, you can drop a comment in the comment section below. I think Florida wins this in 5. I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I don't think it even goes 6 games. So minus 2.5 games for Florida is minus 235. This tells you how strong I feel about the Florida Panthers in this series. And then I'll go one further, Andrew. And then I want to hear all of your stuff. Sam Reinhart to have the most goals at plus 400. Pasternak's the favorite, plus 300. But again, if you believe one team is going to win, it's kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, and hopefully I can make a nice omelet when this series is over.
What are you, the Easter Bunny, Carm? I know it was Orthodox Easter over the weekend, but you got all your eggs in the basket.
Yes, it was.
You're all over the Florida Panthers, man. Looking at this team and the way they're built, I don't blame you. They might be on the pathway to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals, but lots more to get through before that. One that I like, Carm, and I don't think this really goes against you too much, is David Pastrnak to record 30+ shots on goal in the whole series. Now, I think this one goes 6, and I think that he's gonna, on average have 5 shots per game when it's worked out. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be some outliers. There might be a game where he has 2 or 3 shots, but I believe there could be a game or 2 where he has 7 or 8 shots on goal. Let's not forget, the Florida Panthers, they're no strangers to giving up shots in some games. They've been bailed out by Bobrovsky a ton of times. Their defensive core is great. They shut down Tampa in a few of the games, no doubt about it. But they have been known to rely on their goaltending. And we take a look back at some of the goaltending they got last year, leading to their Stanley Cup Finals appearance. They had to have some 34, 35, 36, even 40 save performances from their goaltenders in order to get the win. So to have 30 shots combined in the entire series for David Pastrnak, a guy that will be relied upon in the power play, a guy that's getting some of the most minutes for the team, I think is a play that is certainly worth it. And Carm, as far as the guy that has the most points in the series, I think that it goes to Matthew Tkachuk at plus 450. Kind of like the Barkov one as well, but I just think that Matthew Tkachuk is just built for a series against the Bruins. He plays the right way. He plays along the edge. He scores the nice goals, scores the greasy goals, passes the puck well, and again, he'll be out there on the power play. And the Bruins, they do take a lot of power plays. They were very lucky the Maple Leafs didn't show up at all with their special teams. You know, there's so many reasons we can talk about what happened to the Leafs, but nobody wants to hear us talk about that. But let's be real here. The Bruins were bailed out by their penalty kill a ton of times. So I do think that Matthew Tkachuk will do really well on the power play. Barkov's great too, but I think we'll see Tkachuk score more goals than Barkov. So that's why I'm choosing him. Carm, I'm a little bit higher on the Bruins than you going into this one, but I do think ultimately that Florida probably does get the job done. But I'm going to kind of do what I tried to do with Tampa Bay, and I'm going to openly say that it failed. But I kind of like the plus 1.5 games for the Boston Bruins. So I think the series could be close. Wouldn't shock me if it went 7. And I do think that right now, with the way Jeremy Swayman's playing, with the way this team is finding clutch moments, they'll get the job done and at least keep this series competitive. So we'll see. Tonight's going to tell us a lot. Tonight will tell us a lot about this series. And, I will say that in game 1 here, with me recommending the over, despite how strong Bobrovsky has been, I kind of think that, with Swayman and Bobrovsky, overall, I'm leaning towards the more rested team tonight, as you are, Carm, with Florida. Yeah. So I do think that Boston has a chance tonight, but in the series. But I think overall goals correlate to the Florida Panthers. Both goalies are great, but I do think that if the Florida Panthers win, it means they crack Swayman. It means they get some goals on the board. So I'm going to take the plus 1.5 games for the Panthers. But I think my favorite one is for David Pastrnak to record at least 30 shots in the entire series.
Okay, you mean plus 1.5 for the Bruins, not the Panthers.
Sorry. Yes.
All right, so we're going mano a mano here. That's good. And speaking of goals, so a couple Instagram questions. Papa's Attic or something like that. He says Florida by 1. The odds on Florida to win by exactly 1 goal are plus 225 over at DK. We have another one from Cheney. I'll just say his last name, McLean Cheney, I guess it is. He goes, I think Florida takes this one by 2 or 3 goals. To win by 2, plus 550. To win by 3 exact goals, plus 550 as well too. Put a half a unit on each, and you're getting plus 275 if they win by 2. Or more goals, 2 or 3 goals. And then finally, Andrew, I don't even know where you'd find this. Matty Crenshaw always has a comment in our comment section, and we really appreciate it from him. Any turnover props on McAvoy? He was bad versus Toronto. I didn't even know you could bet turnovers in NHL. So I don't know what book has that. Are you aware of it?
I don't think you can.
Because I don't.
I think it might be a joke. I think it might be a joke. I'm not 100% sure, but it'd be cool if you could, just like with NBA player props, you could just bet on how many times a guy will turn the puck over. I just feel like that would be so hard for guys to keep track of. Like, how would they grade that? The hockey's just so much different. The puck is on your stick for 1 second and you get rid of it, and then all of a sudden, is it a turnover? Did you move the puck on your own? I'm not sure, Carm. That's tough. That's tough, but do you agree with me that that defensemen will probably try and jump in the rush more with the Bruins because their offense kind of lacks? Like you said it yourself that the Panthers are the more deep team, right? So they're probably going to need guys like McAvoy jumping in the rush a lot more.
Yeah, it's Andrew, it's going to be interesting. I think so. Like you're talking about goals earlier, and you just wonder what how the Bruins are approaching this game because they were, I'm going to assume their coaching staff was preparing for the second round, even though the first round wasn't over yet. And that's not a hit on the Leafs. It's just you still have to prepare for the second round. You don't do it on Sunday, 48 hours before a game that you're supposed to play. But I don't know what Bruins team shows up tonight. One that that we saw during the regular season, the one against the Leafs, that I still don't think there was much separation between those two teams in that round and in that opening round, which is why I think it bodes well for Florida the longer the series goes. You can I wouldn't panic if I was the Panthers if you lost game one. If nothing else, the series price, which is at like $2, would come down to probably minus 120-ish. And then I would hop on the Panthers to win the series at minus 120 because I think over 7 games, they're the better team. And they're gonna grind this Bruins team down. So do we see goals tonight? Possibly. For your sake, I hope so. If you're betting the over, I just hope that most of them are scored by the Florida Panthers. But we'll see what the Bruins have tonight. I don't know what to expect from them, and that's why we'll watch them tonight. What I feel I should expect from them is a team that is spent, and the first game, as bad as it sounds, or as dumb as it might sound, it almost feels like a throwaway game for them. Put in an effort, try and outscore them, and then get back to playing Bruins type hockey in game two and try and win 1 or 2 games in the series and come home tied at 1-1. I don't know. We'll see tonight.
I'm going to throw it out there. If the game finishes 2-1, I think the Bruins win. If the game finishes 5-2, the Florida Panthers have it. If the Bruins win tonight, they'll be winning by 1 goal. I think the comment we had on the Instagram or YouTube about them, Florida winning by 2 or 3 goals, is very true. If they win tonight, you might as well take the puck line. Would you say, Carm? I mean, I think if the Florida Panthers win, don't even worry about the minus 190. The puck line is there. The team total is there. I think that they get it done by a couple of goals. Would you say that's fair to say?
Yeah, I do. Andrew, I think someone was asking about like the save props. I think because the goalies aren't confirmed, or at least for the Bruins, there's no confirmed goalie. I'm not seeing any goalie props at the moment posted on DK. As far as you would think that they would at least have Bobrovsky up because he's going to start, and I think he's confirmed as a starter. But there are no goalie props that I can see as of now listed on their site. So that'll probably come out a little later in the day. We know that normally they would post up if a goalie's confirmed, they post it up. Like with Nashville, the Saros props were always up right away because it was always going to be Saros in goal. So it was Vancouver that we didn't know whether it was going to be DeSmith or whether it was going to be Shilov's in goal. And my God, what about Shilov's? That guy played absolutely great for a third string goalie for Vancouver, and that guy played well. Just throwing out a little tangent there.
That series, Carm, is going to be better than people think it will be. I really believe that. The all-Canadian matchup in the West Coast. Can't wait to break down that one, guys. But we're going to be here all playoffs, Monday through Friday. And you can follow both of us on Twitter, X, myself at McGinnis Picks, Carmine at Carmine Bianco WT. Of course, follow WagerTalk at WagerTalk on X. Guys, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. It's continuing to grow. We have all kinds of daily videos as well. So if you don't have time to watch the 30-minute shows for our opinions, for our thoughts, for our breakdowns, for some hot takes we might have on some teams, check out the 5, 3, 4-minute videos we have at WagerTalk TV, breaking down MLB, NBA, NHL, UFC, and much more. But Carm, I'm looking forward to it, man. I got some NHL plays to be posted, including props for clients tonight. Also one NBA bet. And I'll be on WagerTalk today in about an hour's time. So I hope to see everybody there as well on that show. But Carm, what do you have going today? And thank you for the soccer winners over the weekend.
Yeah, a good day on Saturday. a down day on Sunday, but don't talk about your winners if you're not going to talk about your losers. But we're back today at 3 plays up this afternoon. First game goes at 12 o'clock, but there's a package. If you miss that one, that 12 o'clock game, there's a package that goes a 3 o'clock game. 3 games I really like, so I'll be watching that today while crunching tomorrow's numbers. 3 plays up in the NHL tonight, and I have a 5% play loaded for Tuesday's NHL action. They have that great deal going on at WagerTalk right now, the 7-Eleven deal. Get 11 days of plays for only for the price of 7 days. That deal expires, I think, at the end of the week. So take advantage of that. Get 11 days of plays for the price of 7. It's a very good deal, and you'll get all of my stuff this week and part of next, I guess.
Awesome. Great deal there. And all kinds of sports going on right now, guys. So you definitely want to lock in yourself for at least a long-term package. Could still be 3 or 7 days, but you want to get those plays right when they are emailed to you. All right, we have a final question to run over, Carm, really quick here from Soul Leaf 10. He is asking about the revenge factor in this Panthers-Bruins series. I'll just say this. There's going to be a storyline, and the players are aware of it. The coaches are aware of it. But I'll tell you what, it means way more to the media than it actually does to the players. These guys are going to go out there and play. Do they want to get the revenge over the Panthers? Sure. But you know what they really want to do? They want to win the series in advance. And you take a look at it, guess who's not there anymore? Patrice Bergeron. You've got several players not there for the Panthers from the last year's roster. You also have new players added for the Florida Panthers and a couple new guys for the Boston Bruins. So entirely, sure, it does matter a bit, Carm, but in my opinion, I don't think this revenge factor matters too much. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, if anything, Andrew, they took out maybe their revenge during the regular season where they beat them all 4 games, 2 in Florida, 2 in Boston. Once the playoffs start, this is a Florida team, and I'm high on them. You have to be. They made it to the Cup Finals last year. Obviously, injuries dealt them a bad blow, but at the end of the day, Vegas won and deserved to win. This year, they've made it their mission to get right back to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're one of the favorites to get there, and they're a very good team. I'm not worried about any of this. They knocked off the President's Trophy champions last year, and the Bruins are coming back for revenge. At the end of the day, the game was played on the ice, 60 minutes, sometimes even more. And I'm going to take the team that has more depth throughout their lineup and showed in the first round that they were ready to go from the get-go.
All right, Carmen. We definitely got to do some of those shows between intermissions on X or whether it's live or whatever we end up doing, giving out some live picks and talking about our opinions. I know producer Dan would appreciate that. So that way we're not just talking about our takes the next day on PuckTime. We can do it actually during the game. Okay, guys, that will do it for today on PuckTime. Back tomorrow with more games to break down, props, sides, totals, and much more. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time right here on PuckTime.